Welcome back, Texas Football Today. I'm Greg. That's Ashley. We don't normally sit this close together, but one of the reasons that we are is that Pickle cannot contain our excitement because today is Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday. Yo.
It's Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, where we dive into the numbers of Texas high school football across the state of Texas. And we've talked about this on a couple of other Math Tuesdays. UIL Realignment. UIL Realignment is fundamentally just a big data dump. There's a lot of ways to slice it and dice it. So we're going to continue to slice and dice exactly what UIL Realignment looks like. And one of the hot topics of that, and one of the questions we always get asked around here is, hey, who won? Who won realignment? Who are the teams that came out on top, and who lost? Who are the teams that came out got a tough draw, and got the short end of the stick? And I think that it's hard to parse that because, in some respects, you're obviously not in control of your own destiny, but furthermore, a lot of your realignment destiny is set by your geography. Mm-hmm. You got to remember that they are never going to put Canadian and Gunner in the same district.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Which would rock.
It would rock, objectively. We would love it.
But they would have to meet up for a district game in Abilene every single year.
It wouldn't happen. Because of that, you're always going to be in districts with teams around your size, mm-hmm. around your area, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things that it's hard to parse. Obviously, if you're moving up a classification, moving up from 5A to 6A, things are probably going to get tougher.
Yeah.
Right?
For the most part. Not always.
Not always. Sometimes moving up is a blessing.
Yeah. But most times it is.
Theoretically, if you drop down a classification,
you
can be the big fish in the small pond, mm-hmm. right? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to remove some of the variables. And I wanted to exclude class changes.
Okay.
And just look at teams who their district alignment changed in a fundamental way.
Okay.
So they went from maybe a difficult district to an easier district. And obviously, look, again, if you're in the DFW Metroplex, you're going to be with teams in the DFW Metroplex. Mm-hmm. What I wanted to do was take a look at teams that didn't change classes, mm-hmm. but got favorable or maybe non-favorable draws. Let's start with the teams that got the favorable draws. The teams that got a draw from the UIL that is probably the most favorable to them. And this is, by the way, based on the computer rankings, the Dave Campbell's Texas Football computer rankings. If you're looking for a big winner, and we talked about this on Realignment Day, it's the Mesquite schools in 5A. North Mesquite and West Mesquite. They go from being in a district with Forney and Lancaster and Longview and Lufkin and Tyler and McKinney North, by the way.
Yep.
And they instead go into Carrollton ISD and Dallas ISD.
That is big dub.
That is a glow up. That is about as good as you could ask for if you were North Mesquite and West Mesquite, as far as going from a very difficult situation to, I think, a more manageable one. Next one, we're going across the Metroplex to Fort Worth, to Saginaw and Fort Worth South Hills. Remember, these were two teams that were in the Aledo, Denton, Ryan, Burleson Centennial District. Add in Justin Northwestern to that one. Instead, in this alignment, they get shoved into Fort Worth ISD, which, if you're South Hills and you're Saginaw, you're saying, thank you very much. We don't have to deal. If you're playing Fort Worth North Side in Week 6 instead of Aledo, that's a pretty good deal, I would say, for Saginaw and Fort Worth South Hills. In the six-man ranks, I found this interesting. White Deer goes from a district with Miami, who was fantastic last year, McLean, who's got state championship pedigree, and Follett, who's always a contender, right? They're in 1-1A Division I. They do not change districts, but the district changes around them. A lot of it is that teams moved around from them. I believe Miami dropped down a classification, and they moved out Follett, things like that. And instead, they are put into district with six-man newcomer Booker, six-man newcomer Boys Ranch, Claude, who I believe is in their infancy as a six-man program, and then Will Dorado, who hasn't been playing football for all that long. This is, for White Deer, they're kind of the most known commodity in that district. They're going from being like fighting for a playoff spot to being, in my opinion, the favorite, or at least the most known commodity.
I know this is not who we're talking about, but that triggered something in my brain there. It's funny to think about with like Boys Ranch moving. I know we're not talking about moving classifications, but with Boys Ranch moving from 2A down to 1A, it's almost like, oh yeah, you would think that their numbers are probably a little bit bigger. They might be, more of a competitor, but on the other side, you're also going against teams who all they know is 6-man football, and you're trying to learn something new. So talk about a learning curve that could go one of two ways.
I think you're exactly right. If you want to talk about an exception to the idea of dropping down means you're going to get better.
Yeah, I think
dropping a 6-man is tough because it's just a different game, and you're playing against teams who they grew up playing.
That's the only thing that they know.
Taylor, also a winner in this regard. Again, they didn't change districts. It's in District 13, 4A Division 1, but instead of being in with San Antonio, Davenport, Lampasas, Marble Falls, Burnett, they are instead in with Austin ISD and Manor New Tech.
Which Manor New Tech is bumping up they're choosing to opt up a classification.
Even with LBJ in there, and certainly that's not going to be easy for them. Even with that, I would say that overall, and the numbers bear that out, that things got better for them. And then, kind of back up the greater DFW area, Alvarado and Waxahachie Life. Remember, these were the other two teams in the China Springs, Stephenville, La Vega district. Well, by virtue of that district kind of blowing up, La Vega and China Spring dropping down to 4A Division 2, Stephenville getting shipped out west, they now get into a district with Carrollton, Ranchview, Fort Worth, Castleberry, Lake Worth, Kennedale, and Kennedale, rather. Kennedale is probably the favorite in that district, but I would say for Alvarado and Waxahachie Life, they probably fared pretty well. So those are the teams that, according to the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Computer, got favorable draws in realignment. What about the opposite of that? What about teams that maybe the road got a little tougher for them?
You see the thing and you go, oh, man.
Let's start with Lexington and Rogers.
Yeah.
Lexington and Rogers were, at Buffalo's pretty good. Clifton's had some good years, but essentially they were two of the favorites in District 13 3A Division 2. Now 13 3A Division 2 kind of changes around them, and they get Blanco, Comfort, and Thrall in their district as well.
Which was great for Llano.
Very good for Llano.
They went from 13 3A D1 to 13 3A D2, and yikes.
Out west, Bovina. Bovina was in a pretty manageable district. Rawls had a pretty good year, the Jackrabbits did, but Hale Center, Crosbyton, Lockney, Sudan. Now they get a snoot full of Groover and Stratford. Stratford dropping back down to a Division 1. They are going to get thrown in there. Farwell, pretty decent as well, so keep an eye on that. Down in San Antonio, Alamo Heights, Harlandale, and McCollum. They were in a district with San Antonio ISD, and Alamo Heights, go look at the numbers. Ran through that district. Absolutely ran through that district. I know Alamo Heights, if you talk with their coaching staff, they wanted to play a more difficult schedule. Well, great news. Bernie, San Antonio Veterans Memorial, you even add in a team like Victoria West and Kerrville-Tivy. The glow up is real as far as that's concerned. Big doings there. They got there's a lot of much more of a challenging path there for Alamo Heights, McCollum, and Harlandale.
Well, and they got lucky that Liberty Hill moved out because that was around where they were.
I think they
the
were
last time.
13.
Yeah. So it was they did catch one break with Liberty Hill not being shoved in there with Bernie in them.
DFW. In DFW, Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine. Now, Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine, I remember doing Realignment 2022 and thinking, okay, like they're going to romp through that district. And they did, by the way, with 4th Southwest, 4th ISD basically, Arlington Heights, Northside, Polytechnic, etc. Now, no such luck. Argyle, Mansfield Timberview, The Colony, Mansfield Summit, Everman. It's a much more difficult part.
That's a fun district.
It is a very tough.
That's a fun district.
And is that 9 teams? That's a 9-team district, so it's going to be a scramble. It's going to be a real scramble there. And there's going to be some really meaningful football games in October there in 3-5A Division 2. And then finally, Channelview. Poor Channelview. They go from Pasadena ISD plus Deer Park, and they get thrown into... if it weren't for 11-6A, it would be the other district of doom. The other district with 2 state finalists in 23-6A, specifically North Shore, Summer Creek, Atascocita, Sheldon C.E. King, etc. Channelview got a pretty rough draw as it stands. So there you go. There's crunching some numbers on the most favorable and least favorable draws for teams that again didn't change classifications. It's still a time for us to kind of figure out exactly what UIL realignment is going to mean for Texas high school football writ large. But I would say for these teams, they got either good news a couple weeks ago or maybe some tough news.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts about realignment is watching. Like, you get to live watch people's reactions, because some people do the sigh of relief and other people do the sigh of oh no, and they're very distinct sighs.
Yes,
like you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.